Hey everyone, welcome to a fresh episode of Show Me the Crypto. This was an awesome interview with German best-selling author Mike Hager. He is incredibly well-versed in all things NFTs. The level of conviction that he has around NFTs is maybe more than any guest we've ever had, which we appropriately named this episode The Bull Case for NFTs. Ulf, what did you think about our conversation with Mike?
Yeah, honestly, I loved it. I really did. Mike, he's a huge collector of NFTs first, so he's an NFT lover at heart, but he also really understands the business case and different. He understands like minting process. He's helped people launch NFTs, so he knows a lot about the space, and we got to cover all kinds of subject matter. I do want to make one note about his beers. One of the coolest things he's doing with his Bored Apes, turning them into beers. So learn more about that on this episode.
Yeah, the guy minted 10 Bored Apes, never sold one of them, despite the fact that they 1000x'd, and he's creating a beer brand via the IP. We touch on all of those things and many more. Enjoy this episode.
Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto! Show me the crypto!
In a world on the brink of disruption, two men will bring you clarity by interviewing some of the most intelligent and influential names in the blockchain world. Welcome to Show Me the Crypto with your hosts, Wade Patterson and Ulf Lonergan.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Show Me the Crypto. My name is Wade Patterson.
And I'm Ulf Lonergan.
We're a couple of friends from Canada who love learning about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and we're happy you're along for the ride. Whether you're a crypto virgin or you know your way around the block, we hope our interviews with some of the most intelligent and influential people in the blockchain space help deliver you with value. And on this episode, we're joined by best-selling author and NFT investor Mike Hager. In late April 2021, Mike minted 10 Bored Apes. Even though the value of that investment has increased more than 1000x, Mike has never sold a single one. Instead, he's immersed himself deeper into the NFT space, written a best-selling book called Rich with NFTs, and is even using those apes to launch a beer company this spring. Mike, welcome to Show Me the Crypto.
Hey, Wade. Hey, Ulf. Pleased to meet you guys.
Yeah, good to see you, Mike. And a little bit of context for our audience. You and I actually had the opportunity to meet at an NFT-related event this past October. And we want to dive in. We want to pick your brain about all things NFT. But before that, one thing I learned about you at that time is that you had this really fascinating background, maybe pre-crypto background, as part of a radio station in Germany, and this personality that, or I guess a sketch that you did. Can you break it down for our audience, kind of that full story of pre-crypto, what you were doing in the radio world?
Yeah, pre-crypto. So I started with radio in 1996. So in the last century, and I've been a radio lover my whole life. I just loved radio, and when I had the opportunity to start a college radio, I did that in Munich, in Germany, where the Oktoberfest and the beer is. And I started in college radio and ended up working for 20 years for Germany's, at that time, most listened to radio station. And I did a comedy character there. He was like the janitor of the radio station and making fun all the time. And it ended up in a daily series of 3 minutes. I wrote 1,447 episodes,
Wow.
Did all the voice acting, did all the voice directing with the other voice talents, did many stage shows as a stand-up comedian, and have been all in creative, being in radio, being on stage, being on television. At that time had an own children's television show. And I'm a media guy. I've been in media. In 2019, it was 23 years, and then how can I say, dropped out of there. I just didn't want to make radio anymore because I did that for 23 years and was a little bit of been there, done that. And in that time, there's another part of my backstory. Like over 20 years ago, I was 35,000 euro in debt. I brought myself into that. I had some tax issues because I invested into the stock market. Had some gains that I had to pay tax on. Had some losses that I did not realize, so I couldn't put the gains versus the losses, and I had to pay, for me at that time, a lot of taxes, 35,000 euro, and I was in debt. And at that time, I realized, okay, I will never be in debt again. And I dove into personal finance. I found mentors teaching me everything about real estate investment, started to invest in real estate exactly 20 years ago in 2003. And in stocks and in everything, investing was my thing, because I wanted to learn that, and I really learned all of that. And part of investing is crypto. So in 2013, I bought my 30 first Bitcoins for 30 euro each.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
yeah, and this is the interesting link to the NFT story, because at that time I watched Bitcoin go up from 30 to nearly 1,000 euro, like 950 or so, and I was like, did I really make 30,000 out of 1,000 invested right now? And then it dropped back down to 130 or something like that, and did like a dead cat bounce to 180. And at that time I was like, hey, it's a sixfold. I made 30 to 180, just sell it. And my heart can't take that, because at that time I haven't been a seasoned investor yet. And for me, this roller coaster ride was, oh my damn, this is stressful. And then I stood on the sideline and I went back into Bitcoin at around 2,000. I always said 3,000, but I really checked it again now, and I went back in at 2,600, 2,700, something like that. And these Bitcoins there, most of them I didn't sell. I sold, I think, some of them last year in the peak, like 50,000, something like that. I took some cash off the table because I wanted more money to invest in NFTs.
Yes.
And this is the big learning, because over the years I realized, okay, every time something turns up on my radar, there's a average 5-year time window where it hits the masses. So 2013, Bitcoin hit the masses, 2017, 2018, and I had this with different investments. Also with my real estate, I bought real estate in Munich at a time where nobody wanted to buy real estate in Munich, and prices have gone through the roof. And the big learning from my Bitcoin investment at that time was, as soon as I find something that I think is interesting, I will go in with more money and I will stay in for years. Because in the end, most of the time with my investment thoughts, I have been right. I just didn't have I didn't take the time to wait it out. And this time, when I realized in January 2021, NFTs are gonna be the next big thing, I said, okay, this time I'm putting in more money. I put in like 300,000 euros, something like that in the beginning. And I said to myself, I will not sell. And this is why I minted my 10 Bored Apes, and I minted them for 0.08 ETH. And in the evening, they were at 0.46 ETH, which was like a 5.5 fold. And I did a YouTube live. I have a YouTube channel in Germany on NFTs. I think it's the biggest German NFT YouTube channel because there's not so many. And I did a YouTube live, and I said, everybody's asking me about investment advice in NFTs. Today, I minted some of these interesting apes, and they're already up 5 or 6 times, but I really think they're interesting. And I went to 1 ETH, to 2, to 5, to 6, to 8, to 10. And I was like, yeah, I know that. I've been there, done that with Bitcoin. And when they were up, and all my Bored Apes and my serums that I did not make to I did not use my serums to do mutants, and all my ape coin, I held all of that, and it was worth many, many millions. And I said, I know it will go back down because this is the way of crypto. And I said, I'll just wait it out. And now it is down, and I'm just waiting for the next rally up. which will happen as it always does in crypto. And this is my backstory. This is how it all started for me. And when I dropped out of radio, my first book that I wrote about personal finance, it's called, roughly translated, "Money is a Solution Too," or "Money Can Be a Solution Too." It was an instant bestseller in Germany. But, the equivalent of the New York Times bestseller list we have here is called the Spiegel bestseller list. And my book about NFTs, the English title, by the way, is "NFTs and the Future of Finance." You can see the German version here in the background. Was my second instant Spiegel bestseller. And in March, I'm releasing my next book about NFTs. It's called Inside NFT, and that's a real deep dive. And this is my background story. This is why I do what I do.
It's so fascinating. And one follow-up question to that is, so January 2021, you said you just knew that NFTs would be the next thing. What gave you that conviction at that time?
It sounds a little bit strange, but in investing, I have learned over the last over 20 years to always trust my gut. And I had the same gut feeling that I had with Bitcoin in 2013. I sensed that this is something new. I did not immediately realize how big this can be, because I did not immediately realize what all the stuff is that you can do with that. But as soon as I realized, I was like, yeah, I think this is going to be as big as Bitcoin, as big as the internet, and even bigger. And it was a mix of gut feeling and realizing what the technology can do, and that this is a technology that can bring so many wins for so many different parties. I mean, when you look at a use case like ticketing, for example, you as the one who issues the tickets, the people that buy the tickets, the people that collect the tickets, the secondary market, there are so many people who can win at the same time. This is very seldom, I think, for a technology. It's a little bit like the internet. The internet is also something where many people can win at the same time. It's not a zero-sum game where someone wins and the other loses. It is really something that can bring and will bring a lot of value to society.
So 2021, you get this gut feeling, and you know that you have this like truth that you know that NFTs are gonna pop off, that they're the future, that they've got a bright future ahead. And then we see a crazy run. I mean, like the NFT run of 2021 was insane. And fast forward to where we are today, it's 2023, it's the start of the year, and 2022 was a bear year for basically everything. NFTs are down, crypto prices are down, but here you are, you still believe with full conviction that with the big run up, every price is coming down, that you said that you were telling yourself before prices came down that you knew this would happen, and that they're still going to rally back at a certain point in the future. We're probably going to call this episode the bull case for NFTs. So just explain a little more, like why still, why even after seeing the up and the down with where we are today, which like relatively things are very low, why are you still so bullish?
So my conviction is still on 100% on NFTs. There are many reasons I'm bullish. One thing is I've been in this game, and for me it is a crypto game, and it's good because your podcast is called Show Me the Crypto.
That's right.
NFTs are part of the crypto game, and history doesn't always repeat, but it rhymes. And I can see the rhymes. I've been in there since 2013, and at least 5 times I've seen what we see now for the first time in NFTs. So meaning 5 times I saw that all the prices went down for 90% or even more. And then after even a 2-year crypto winter that we had, going up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-fold. So I'm standing on the sideline and knowing that this will go up because I've seen it so many times. This is the first thing. And the second thing is really, as soon as you have realized what is behind the technology and what people are able to do with that technology for customers, for their business, for the world. I mean, look into a business like publishing. So I did an NFT magazine. I can show it to you. It looks like this. This is the first issue that came out in November. It was, in the first moment, this is the English version, and I have a German version too. It's coming out in 2 languages. And at first, for me, that was a one-off. I just wanted to do the world's first NFT print magazine in English and in German, and show and ship it to the world. So the interesting thing about this is, when you are a magazine publisher or a book publisher, what I did is I asked a friend of mine who is a very interesting and very well-renowned crypto artist. His name is Marco Mori. And I asked him, can you do your art based on the cover? He said yes. And then I did an NFT. So the magazine came out. The feedback was immense. I showed it to everyone from Kevin Rose to Gordon Goner and Garga, and to people. People was like, "Can I have it?" And I was like, "Hey, Mike, it's my only magazine that I have with me in Miami." "Yeah, now I don't want to fucking have it anymore." He's always funny, and people they order the magazine. And they think, yeah, it's some kind of magazine. And then they get the magazine and they see, wow, this is like hardcover, really high value stuff with good stories and with good value. I've all the abbreviations that you need in crypto from my book in that and all of that. And people are ordering the magazine and putting it in frames on walls. You can see my whole Twitter timeline because I retweet all of them. People really framing this magazine. And so now I said, okay, I'm releasing an NFT with that magazine. And the NFT was 0.0299, I think, like $30 or something like that for the NFT. And I said, when you have the NFT, the German version or the English version, you will get the magazine. We will do it quarterly now in 2023, and you will have it shipped to your place around the world, wherever you live, free of additional cost. The only cost was the NFT. And we sold NFTs worth, I think it's in euro, so a little bit more in dollars. At that time, with Ether being at 1,100, we sold NFTs worth of $166,000.
Wow!
So the 4 issues, it's like a subscription that's been prepaid. So I know now I have the money to produce the 4 magazines and to ship them worldwide. And this is something that publishers worldwide will do sooner or later, because the cool thing is you have a really good looking NFT done by a great artist in your wallet. That's the first utility right there. And then you even get 4 high value in a great production value produced magazine with many cool stories. I mean, I also I'm getting all the big names for that, because everybody who had the magazine in their hands really liked it and said, "Hey, can I have you for an interview?" And I do a mentoring group that I teach people NFTs to, and people are coming for the interview anyway. We had G Money, we had Justin Aversano, we had Kevin Rose, we had basically everyone, but not yet Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary, waiting for you. In there, and they're telling us super interesting things, and parts of these interviews that I also did for the book. We also had interviews with really all the big names in the space, and they're gonna be in the magazine. And this is a use case. And with the next magazine, there will be an NFT again, because I'm a collector, and I know people will like to have an accompanying NFT to their magazine and like to collect the NFTs. And later on, I can incentivize people who collected all 5 NFTs, for the first one from 22 and the other 4 from 23. And there's so much interesting things you can do. Or with ticketing, I think 5 to 10 years from now, every event ticket will be an NFT, because it's a no-brainer. You can, now you send a ticket, you use the ticket, you throw it away. Later on, this is an NFT. You can have great artists do the NFTs. You can play some kind of lottery where you say 1% of all the tickets will get this, 5% are gold tickets, who will meet the star, whoever. You're Ed Sheeran, you do a Europe tour, and your ticket is an NFT. And as soon as you see someone who has all the 25 tickets of Paris, London, Munich, blah, wherever in Europe in the wallet, he says, hey, you're invited for the after-show party of the last concert. And people will buy these NFTs on a secondary market where Ed Sheeran can make money off, where people get to meet Ed Sheeran. There's so much win in all that. And forever, you can show that you have been to the concert. I mean, how many people have you met in your life that have they've been on one of the first Nirvana concerts, and they always say, yeah, I've been at one of the first Nirvana concert. Yeah, can you prove that? No. Exactly. But with the NFT in your wallet, you can prove that. People will be able to prove that. And in 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, where nowadays you Google someone you meet, in 5 to 10 years, you will look in their wallet. And nowadays, when you Google someone, you find what people want you to find. But when you look into their wallets, you know what they're spending their money on. And what you spend your money on is the kind of person you are. I mean, and there's upsides and downsides to that, for sure. But it is very, very interesting what you're able to do with NFTs in every part of business and life.
Ulf, do you realize our audience has been either watching or listening to this episode for 20 minutes?
20 minutes? No, they should probably subscribe.
Yeah, they should subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you comment and turn on notifications. And if you're listening to this podcast, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and a review.
We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. So go check out the episode description. You can find all that information below. And we have an update on the NFT, don't we?
That's right. We didn't previously mention this, but this NFT for OG supporter is a one of one. There will only be one of this kind ever minted, and we have a few surprises for the person who purchases it. The link is in the episode description.
And back to the episode.
So, Mike, one thing I'm interested about is in terms of if somebody's listening to this and you've already sold them, you've convinced them, they're like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about, I want to get involved with NFTs. What is kind of step one? And I'll preface this by saying, of course, this is not financial advice or anything along those lines, but what is step number one that you go through in a process when you're doing your research to kind of analyze, okay, is this an NFT project that I might want to get involved with?
Mm-hmm. So first step above all is set up your MetaMask, secure your 12 words by not taking a photo, not saving it somewhere online, write it on a piece of paper and put the piece of paper somewhere where in the best case, even you are not able to be there very quickly. Yeah, like somewhere very secure. This is the first thing. Then as soon as possible and as quickly as possible, install a ledger and install and secure your MetaMask with a ledger, because odds are good that you're going to be a millionaire with that, and you want to have your millions safe. After that, for me, it's always like looking on a map and seeing certain lights going off or blinking. So I look into an NFT, and then first thing is, do I like this? Well, okay, sounds or looks appealing to me. Do I know the artist? Is there even an artist behind it, or is it a no artist PFP project? But do I like the art? Have I heard of the team before? What kind of track record does the team have? What does their Twitter look like? Is it a botted Twitter? Is it a real people Twitter with people acting? Is it only full of retweets? How old is the Twitter channel? Then into the Discord. Is the Discord very crowded? Does the Discord have a large number of members, but it doesn't seem very crowded? Looks fishy. Are there real people having real life interactions about this project? Then I always look into what does my peer group say about these projects. And my peer group is a group of people that I would not be able to make a complete list of, but I always check what other well-renowned people in the space are doing, are saying about this project. Have they invested in that? What has the team that brings out the project done before? Does it have like a big stamp perhaps already on it? For me, a big stamp is something like art blocks. If it's released on art blocks, for me, it's immediately, I know Eric Snowfro, he's been in my mentoring for an interview too. He's a great guy with a big heart. I know what they are doing is always interesting stuff on the generative art side. So one of the interesting NFTs in the end of 2022 and beginning of 2023 were the friendship bracelets, for example. I've been to Marfa for the Art Blocks event there, and shortly after that, they released the friendship bracelets, where when you held an Art Blocks piece on the 26th of October, there was a snapshot, then you were allowed to mint 2 friendship bracelets for free. And in November, I thought, these are going to be interesting because I think they're going to be some sort of the next Chromie squiggles. And they were at 0.13 or something like that. This was the time where I told my mentoring group I'm going to go in big. And I bought 20 first, and then I bought 10 more. I have something like 40 now. Floor rose up to 0.6 in the beginning of January. Now we're down to 0.52, something like that. But I still think they are super interesting on the long run. They are made by an artist called Alexis André. He did some very interesting and well received and great art stuff on art blocks, and there I have a lot of check marks ticked. So it's art blocks, it's Alexis André, it's Eric Snowfro behind it. I saw many other people from the space that I trust and follow, buy them too. I know the team is super safe and super secure about what they're doing. It's not a rug pull, it's not a scam. It's just great art. And projects like this, there are all the green flags for me to go in bigger. And above all, I always have to like the art. And drum roll, like I said before, I trust my gut. This is for me the most important thing. Is this something I have a good feeling about? For example, I never had a good feeling about Azuki. And yeah, please, Azuki army, don't kill me, but it's just not my kind of art. I'm not too much into the manga thing. And then they had the news, and it's back up already. So they have their crowd about one of the members. Yeah, whatever. I just didn't like it. But I'm also in 20 at least 20 or even more crypto exchanges and never put a cent on FTX. My gut said, nah, I don't know. And I bought $200 worth of Luna, put it over the bridge, and was like, nah, I don't know, Luna. I always trust my gut. And
I need access to your gut, because it's apparently gets a lot of things right.
Tim Ferriss once said, and it's very interesting because Tim and I have the same publisher in Germany, and I met him in Marfa, and I always thought Tim Ferriss would be really nice, but he was like 1,000x nicer than I even thought. Such a nice guy. And he always, I think it's a saying of his, your intuition, which is basically gut, is condensed experience. And I think it somehow boils down to that you made your experiences in life, and that feeds your gut, your intuition, that you sooner or later can, or I'd say you can always rely on.
I love that. I like that analogy, or whatever you might call that phrase. That makes a lot of sense. So while we're on the subject of sort of researching and vetting, NFT projects before you buy in, I think it's timely to perhaps mention the CoffeeZilla Logan Paul NFT scandal. Are you familiar with that? Are you caught up on what happened with Logan Paul's NFT project?
Hey, to be super honest, I was so puzzled some days ago when someone told me about this project, because I'm on Twitter like nearly 24/7, but it didn't turn up in my timeline, which tells me that my timeline is quite all right. I heard about that some days ago, and I saw his long apology speech and like giving money back stuff yesterday. But really, this really went past by me. And for me, this is a good thing, because this really means my map, some things just don't turn up on my map. So many people write me on Twitter, on Instagram, and they write emails, and it's always, hey, Mike, what do you think about? And project XXX. And as soon as someone writes, what do you think about this project? It is 99% a project I've never heard of. And so I'm 99.95% sure that I'm not interested.
Yeah. You're like, well, I haven't heard of it, so it's probably not something I'm interested in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is, and I'm always super honest, because nobody is able to know all the projects, and also interesting projects have gone by me, but many of them haven't. So it's always, you can't see everything. But to be honest, I do not have a really good opinion on that project, because I don't know too much about it.
And that's all good. Honestly, my question wasn't going to be about the project. I was just curious, and it sounds like you know enough, which is the question that I wanted to ask is just that, regardless of the project and everything that happened there, Logan Paul is a really big name. He's got a huge following, obviously many supporters, many people who trust him. And so when someone that has a follower base, that already has trust with a big audience, when they put out a project and that project fails, and you could call it a fraud or a scam, how does that reflect the greater industry? Because someone like you're talking about all of these things, you go through all these steps to sort of vet a project. But in cases like that, I feel like, you might get blindsided. You might do all your work, and still it's more the person lets you down, right? The person who you had trust in lets you down.
Yeah. Perhaps I should have said it on my list before, on my checklist. For me, a big name coming to the space and saying, "Hey guys, I'm here now, and I do have an NFT project for you," is a red flag. For me, big names coming into the space and saying hello is usually really a red flag. It is a little bit different for Logan Paul, because he has CryptoPunks, he is not someone coming to the NFT space now and saying, "Oh, I've heard about NFTs, and by the way, I have a 10,000 PFP project here, and I'd like you to send me your money." It's for him, it's a little bit different. But many celebrities that come to the space and just say, "Hey, here I am, and here's my NFT project." This is a red flag for me. Someone doing an NFT project, and also artists coming to the space wanting to do an NFT project. I did a tweet about that last week, I think. For me, the most important thing to be successful in NFTs is to become part of the space by taking part in the space. And this, for me, mostly is by collecting. I have several artists that my partner Alexander Sachs and I help release projects. Not many, 95% we say no to, but there are some artists like Rainer Hosch, for example. We did the 52 Icons collection with him, and in the end we did a 52-hour open edition. And we made $500,000 in these 52 hours. I think over 80% of these $500,000 completely went back into the NFT space because we just buy NFTs. Rainer, I mean, I think that's not a secret. You can watch his wallet. He's like me. He cannot keep ETH. He always has to buy other artists, other projects, other everything. We just give back to the community because we are crazy collectors. We want to have all the other artists and all the other NFTs too. And this is something very interesting, and that makes a project for me interesting when I see there's someone behind it who is in the space for a long time already, and who is a collector at heart too, because these people bring the space forward, and these people are people that I like to give money to because they're collecting themselves. I mean, look at Kevin Rose. There's some people that say, yeah, and then he made the Moonbirds and the Proof Pass and made millions of that. Yes, and let him please make millions of that, because he brings a lot of value to the community, and he gives a lot of money back to the community by collecting himself. So this is a good sign for me. A bad sign for me, to say it again, is some celebrity that has never been related to NFTs coming to the space and saying, "Hey, I have an NFT project now."
One of the things that was interesting when you and I met in person, I think I was one of those people who had asked you, "What's your thoughts on?" And you're probably like, "Oh God, this is 99% just going to be garbage." But what it was actually, it was related. I won't mention the specific project because I'm a holder of it. I don't want to show what I have, but it was a historical project. So I think it was like a 2018 NFT. And I had this thought, and I'm not original in having this thought. I've heard it from other people and that type of thing with regard to historical NFT projects have maybe some level of value in the future, just in the sense that they are older. There's fewer of them, that type of thing. But what I appreciated from your perspective is you pushed back a little bit on that at the time. I don't know if you remember this, but you had said, "Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that thesis, Wade. Like, if they don't have an active team, if they're not that involved." So just maybe on the topic of historical NFTs, I mean, there's a variety that's out there, but like when we talk about things like maybe curio cards or Mooncats or CryptoPunks, or a lot of different projects there. But do you see extra value for historical, or not so much in your opinion?
I mean, funnily enough, you named the ones that I see value in. Yeah. But there is historical and historical, and also Gary is big in digging up old stuff where he says, "Yeah, it's old, and I think it has value because of that." And I'm not always of the same opinion. I think CryptoPunks, above all, they have a ton of value, and I always say a CryptoPunk and the Bored Ape in 10 years from now, you will not be able to get one under 1 million, but this is my bull case. This can also be my crazy thoughts. And Mooncats, super interesting. And what was the third one?
Curio cards.
Curio cards, yeah. I got some
Which
of
full
them.
disclosure, I have some of those. So just for our
Yeah,
audience,
me too.
yeah.
Me too. And I have a Mooncat and I have CryptoPunks, and because I think these can have historical value, but then later on, people dug up stuff. There was like some, as you said, some strange project, no more team behind it. Yes, it's early. Yes, it's perhaps even earlier as CryptoPunks, but I'm like, I don't know if people really are gonna buy this, or formulate it in another way. I think there are projects from today or the last 2 years that will be seen as historical and will have value years from now, like, for example, Chromie Squiggles. I think 5 to 10 years from now, Chromie Squiggles will be seen as very historical, and also Construction Token by Jeff Davis, first project minted on, because most people always think Chromie Squiggles was the first project minted on art blocks, but it's Construction Token by Jeff Davis. I think these historical, in parentheses, or in how do you say, in
quotations, yeah.
In quotations, could have historical value. The older ones, there may be some of them, but I'm not so convicted concerning these.
Wade mentioned briefly in the bio 10 Apes beer. Can you tell us all about that? Tell us what the plans are for 10
And when's
Apes
it
beer.
coming to Canada?
Yeah. I hope soon. So I brought some of the first
So
cans.
cool.
We did our community.
I love them.
We did our community event for my mentoring community, and I released the beer at that time as dummies. There's real German beer in that. So I have my 10 apes, and I never sold them, and I basically get daily DMs that say you're a legend, and I thought, it's so interesting. Not many people minted 10 apes or more. Some of them did and never sold. And I really love my 10 apes. And I thought about monetizing the IP all the time. And I saw these agencies where you can give your ape to, and they find someone for you and they pay you a little bit of money. And some of them were also scams. And I'm never someone, or seldomly someone, who says, yeah, please do that for me and let me be somehow your employee. I'm an entrepreneur. And so I said, I'm doing a brand called 10 Apes because I think it's a cool name for a brand. And with that, I'm doing beverages and also clothing later on and stuff like that. And as I'm German, I'm Bavarian, I'm in Munich, and we live and breathe beer. And I have many friends that are 10, 20, 30 years in the beer industry. So I contacted some of them and said, hey, can't we do a beer? And they said, we totally can. And we have the contacts all around the world, because I have no clue about the beverage business. I've never done that. I need it and need a partner for that. And I do have a partner for that. And we're starting with the beer now. I talked to Gordon from Yuga Labs, and I said, Gordon, I'm aiming for people drinking the 10 Apes Bored beer at the Ape Fest. He said, send me a case. I said, I will. What kind of beer is it? I said, it's a lager. I love lager.
Awesome.
But by the way, Gordon Garner, one of the nicest guys ever. Really, he's such a cool guy. And so this is what I'm aiming for. And this is why today, after this interview, we will have our next meeting, and we're working with high speed on bringing the first beer into the cans around the world. And after that, we want to do non-alcoholic beverages. We're going to do energy drink. We're going to do tea, but we're also going to do like hard tea and hard seltzer and sparkling wine. We want to do a whole range of beverages that apply to people. And as it says on the back of the magazine, this is the most beloved can with my cheetah on it, with my Bored Ape cheetah, cowboy
Love
cheetah, as it says. says coming to you spring. We're working on it in high speed. As I said to Gordon Gorner, want to have it at ApeFest. I was still thinking ApeFest is in June. I didn't realize that ApeFest is in April. So we're really in a hurry now. But let's see how it works out. So, but this is what we're aiming for, and we want to make this a worldwide brand, worldwide beverage brand that you can get in Korea as much as in the US and in Canada. We're also already having talks over there, and I'm very bullish on that because I see people love the apes, and everybody wants to have a Bored Ape. And having something in your hand that has a Bored Ape on it is the nearest for some people you can get to a Bored Ape. But they, just like the magazine, I think they're framing the magazine also because there's my holo ape on it. I think people just love the apes, and we did this nice wordplay. You know the other side trailer where it says "drink me" and then it falls off and says "don't drink me." So we have the "don't drink me" on that. And I think when I saw people drinking and enjoying just like me the ape water at Art Basel Miami, I saw this will work, and I see the reaction of people who have it in their hands for the first time, and everybody's like, "Why?" And I saw women saying, "I'm not even a beer drinker, and I want to buy it."
Totally.
Nice.
Well, it's so clever, and I think it kind of doubles into a secondary thought, which I think is really interesting, and that is using the IP, leveraging the IP. In my opinion, seeing examples like what you're doing is maybe one of the most profound examples I've seen of it. Actually, another great example is what Jenkins the Valet. I mean, this whole concept of a whole other NFT project built on it, a book being written by Neil Strauss, everything along those lines. But just kind of as a higher question, like what opportunity do you see from that? Because sure, Bored Apes is one of the best brand recognition projects that's out there, but there's a lot of projects that have put out their IP and maybe a much more affordable price point. What do you see in terms of opportunity of people picking up an NFT and then really running with the branding that maybe matches whatever they're doing?
I mean, in the best case, and for me, the Bored Apes are one of the best cases for that. Every participant in the system feeds into feeding the system. So when I talked to Gordon about it, he immediately said, "Hey, Mike, I saw that, and many people are doing ape products, but your product design is one of the best, and happy to see that come out." And the cool thing is, the Yuga Labs and Bored Apes have an agency, UTA, and the agency helps to spread the brand. I am that bullish on Bored Apes that I say the Bored Ape Yacht Club will be a household name like Coca-Cola 10 to 20 years from now. So they will help to make the brand more famous. And every participant who owns an ape or several apes and does something with the IP, from Ape Water to Bored Coffee to Bored and Hungry to Bored Tacos to whatever, is also one little spreading point, like a good virus. So Bored Ape spreading the word, becoming more and more famous, more and more recognized. Every brand using an ape getting more famous, like Snoop Dogg's brand, for example, getting more famous, getting more and more recognized. So you see a product by Snoop Dogg with the ape on it. You're like, what's the ape? You take a look at it and you see, it's a Bored Ape Yacht Club. You learn about the Bored Ape Yacht Club. You see Bored Ape Yacht Club. You see a new brand. You learn about the new brand. And it's a system that's feeding each other all the time and can, in a good way, perhaps really get into exponential growth for everyone taking part in the game. So when you have a team with an NFT that gives you the IP, that does the right things, and you can see they get some traction, it can be very interesting to go in there early, secure yourself one of the PFPs or whatever it is that have the IP, and try to find a product that you're passionate about, like me, for beer, or for example for also the magazine. I mean, I use the ape on the magazine. This is also a usage of the IP, and then release your product. And I think this is a system where, as I said before, many people can win at the same time, not a zero-sum game. And this is something that's really great about all of that.
One thing I'm interested to ask you about, Mike, is the concept of when it maybe makes sense. So at the beginning of this conversation, you kind of started us off with the bull case for NFTs and how you see it really permeating so many elements of existing things. The Ed Sheeran example, talking about how it's going to take over ticketing, how just a lot of people are going to leverage this technology. So as of right now, when do you think is the ideal entry point for maybe modest-sized creators or that type of thing to start getting into NFTs? So we're seeing more and more examples. We've had a couple episodes on things like music NFTs and starting to see some musicians dabbling with it. We've even seen podcast NFTs come out, different things like that. From your opinion and perspective, is now a good time to be experimenting with an audience of any size, or is it still a little bit early and smart to kind of wait on the sidelines and see how this plays out, or build an audience to a certain level? Like, at what point should people start experimenting with minting their own NFTs?
Yeah, the short answer is as soon as possible. There's a Chinese saying, when was the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago or 20 years ago. When is the second best time? Today. So really, most people are really regret having heard about something like Bitcoin or NFTs and wait on it and say, yeah, I'll try that tomorrow. And you know exactly, there's a rule of 72. Everything you do not do in 70 hours after you've heard about it, you will not do at all. So as soon as you hear about that, perhaps the first time in this podcast with Wade and Alf, just go ahead and set up your MetaMask and set up an account on Kraken or wherever you want, buy some ETH, send some ETH over, and begin to dabble in the space, because this will be one of the best investments of your life. I'm very secure about that.
And on the subject of NFTs and the different sort of genres, you know, everything we've been talking about for the most part, and any examples we gave, you know, we're talking about digital collectibles in the form of art. And yes, there's lots of utility that comes with that. But what are your thoughts in the NFT space in these other areas that go outside of like visual art and do get into, you know, the other areas of, say, for example, like Wade brought up music? That's been something that's been getting talked about a lot more. And obviously there's still many other areas and sectors of the industry, many of which that aren't even, maybe haven't been yet innovated, but are going to in the future. So what are your thoughts on some of those other areas that exist today, and maybe some that will exist in the future?
I mean, basically, I always say everything is going to be an NFT. So every industry will be more or less disrupted as soon as people realize what they can do with NFTs. This goes from car manufacturers that bring an NFT with the car, where you will be able to put in that the 30,000 mile service has been done, and you cannot change that. This is one of the biggest problems in the used car sales industry, that people are turning back the mileage on the car and faking a younger car with that. You cannot do this. As soon as the car is accompanied by an NFT that says the 30,000 mileage service has been done. Sooner or later, every luxury watch company will bring an accompanying NFT because nowadays when you buy a Rolex, you have the so-called Rolex papers that say, okay, this is a genuine Rolex. This is going to be an NFT. Every form of ticketing, every form of publishing, every form of building and and evolving a community will involve NFTs, because you can always incentivize people by how much they take part in the community, how much they do for the community, how much they give value to the community by giving them the silver, the gold, the platinum, the diamond NFT. When you are an artist, you singer, songwriter, painter, whoever people want to meet, you can give access with the diamond NFT for people that came to all of your concerts. And so on. Really, I think there's basically everywhere where you go nowadays, and they give you like a little stamp card, buy 10 get one free, like some a burger store, buy 10 menus get one free, which is a card that you never have on you when you have the 10th time, that you always lose, that's never there when you need it. There will be an NFT, perhaps on Polygon, because it's very cheap on a layer 2 solution. So really, everything where you, as someone who has a business, want to incentivize any behavior of your customer, will be an NFT.
One of the things that came up very recently, and so if this isn't on your radar, no worries, we can just get past this, but it has to do a little bit about, creator royalties has been a topic of interest in different platforms taking different positions. We had the benefit of speaking to skipping my mind, Rarible. Yeah. So one of the reps from Rarible, and they were talking about how they kind of publicly announced that they would be supporting creator NFTs. I thought I came across something where it had to do with the concept of a purposeful wrapped NFT, that by doing so, that would protect creator royalties. And by doing so, also the creator could then share with the collector in future royalties or something along those lines. Is that something at all on your radar that you've heard about?
I mean, there's a lot of discussion about royalties, and for me, it's very simple. I mean, in the 90s, you have an artist, a music artist that you love. I mean, you can never buy their, at that time, CDs or music, but you can be sure that as soon as the artist is not able to make money with his music anymore, and by that live his life, you will not be able to get more new music from this artist. And so for me, it is very simple. If you have someone who does something you love, just really support these people and support them in the NFT space by paying your royalties. Even if you, what I wouldn't do, trade on a platform or trade off a platform. This is where most people get scammed. Yeah, I went on SudoSwap because this guy wanted to have my Bored Ape, and now my ape is gone. Yeah, well, duh. Just don't do it, and pay your due royalties, because this helps people to produce more stuff that you like. And so trying to evade royalties is something, in my view, that is very stupid. And above all, when you are an artist, a businessman, whatever, you always see on the blockchain who has paid royalties and who hasn't. And it's very easy to give incentives to people who pay their royalties, and to just not give these incentives to people who don't want to pay you. Why? Because why bother? So about this rep thing, I think I've read something about it. You can always try to enforce stuff, but I really think I think people did a good thread about that. As long as you bring value to your consumers and to your collectors and to people who like what you do, I think they will always be happy to pay a small share, and royalties are always a small share, to help you live your life, produce your art, do your business, whatever it is you do. And I think the majority sooner or later will realize that and will do that. So I think the problem is not gonna be as big as it perhaps sounds. And as I said, it's always on the blockchain. So you can always, by the terms and conditions, exclude people. For example, when you are FC Bayern Munich and you give out your tickets as very artfully created NFTs, and then you just do your own platform. And when people, or if people are selling somewhere else without paying royalties, that's not your platform, they just don't get the incentives. And that's about it.
Mike, I've been saving this question for near the end here. It's not so related to NFTs. This is more of a personal question, but you're obviously someone who understands branding. You understand marketing. And I've noticed that you wear this red cock hat, and you've been wearing it. It's in all your photos. It's in all your thumbnails. So at what point did you choose to make the red cock hat a part of your brand, and why?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It is branding, because I know that branding is the most important thing if you are doing anything or any kind of business. And for me, when I thought about that, at the time I was working for the radio station, my brand was very easy. I did this character, and this character was a fat guy with a gray kind of, what do you say, kilt? No, it's like a gray janitor thing that he wore.
Uniform.
And he had a gray corduroy hat on it and had a beard. And when you see all the big personal brands, they always have something around their hat. So you had Steve Jobs with the glasses and the pullover. You had Karl Lagerfeld with the ponytail and the glasses. So when you can find something that is around your head that gives you a good brand, then use that. And that time where I did my branding, I know how. I mean, I've worked for mass media 23 years of my life, and I know how people think and how people see stuff. So they see someone saying something interesting about NFTs. So what will they tell anyone if I do not wear a cap? And in the beginning, I always wore a Kikoman shirt. I changed that now. For me, it's really the red cap all the time. What will they tell anyone? They will say, I saw someone talking about NFTs, was an interesting guy. Yeah, what's his name? I don't know his name. Yeah, what did he look like? Yeah, he was like a guy. Okay, what else? Yeah, he wore a red cap. Ah, okay, wore a red cap. So as soon as you see the guy with the red cap again, you can recognize and say, that's the guy with the red cap again. It's just branding. And the cock is a strength animal in some kind of mythology also. And Tim Ferriss was super funny when we met in March. He was like, cock, I have to take a photo. And I was like, yeah, well, why? 2 weeks later, he brought out Cock Punch. Now I know why. It really is all about branding, and this is why you will always. In the beginning, it was a gray cap, and I'm a cap guy. I look better with a cap on.
Us too.
And yeah, that's why I made this my branding, and I think branding is super important.
As Ulf mentioned, we're getting close to the end. We're going to ask you the same 3 questions we ask every guest at the end of every episode of Show Me the Crypto. We'll get to that in one sec, Mike. But before that, I want to ask you one more question. And anytime you have somebody who has the level of conviction that you do, and clearly the knowledge and everything along those lines, I always think it's interesting to play devil's advocate a little bit and have them almost take the counter argument. And obviously, you believe in NFTs. That's clear to our audience. There's no doubt about that. However, to play the other side of it, if NFTs somehow were not to succeed, how do you think that could happen? Like, what's your counter argument against your own thesis?
I mean, I can really see many projects not succeeding because there's just too many and not enough liquidity to keep all those projects alive. So this is clear to me that many projects, perhaps even famous projects nowadays, will die. So yeah, I totally get that. To play the devil's advocate on the technology is really hard for me, because as soon as you've seen and realized what you're able to do, I mean, what could happen? What could happen? I mean, even all the FUD about crypto and FTX and Mt. Gox and everything happening, never, the FUD has never, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt has never been big enough to kill crypto. And I really think, even with all the scams going on, all the people getting their stuff stolen, I really cannot see anything that will kill the technology. I think the technology will evolve and it will become more easy and more. And will they be called NFTs or digital collectibles in some months or years from now? I don't know. Perhaps yes, but to really have NFTs go away, like, yeah, this was a phase from 2017 to 2023, and that's not there anymore. Really hard to imagine for me. But I'm interested in how you would see this happen.
No, I tend to agree with you. I just wanted to give you a challenging question to wrap this up with. So, no, I honestly, I think that, you know, and our audience as well will probably share the same sentiment. But I think it's just always important to take a little bit of a, you know, acknowledge the other side or what people may have concerns or complaints about. I think when it comes to NFTs, it's typically, in my experience, a lack of understanding, or they hear of one particular person getting incredibly stupidly wealthy off of something, and then just them thinking, well, that's not sustainable. And to their point, that particular instance isn't sustainable. Like you just said, there's going to be a lot of projects that even if they have their run-ups, they'll probably fail. But I think when people take the time to understand that underlying technology, then definitely it's a different scenario.
Yeah, I think so too.
But Mike, this has been such an interesting conversation. I think this episode will be a great resource for anyone who wants to learn more about NFTs, or if they're looking at their NFT portfolio in the depths of a bear market and not feeling so good. This will be that cheerleading reinforcement that they need to consume, I think. But as we mentioned, we end every episode of Show Me the Crypto with the same 3 questions we ask every guest. It's a segment we call You Had Me at Crypto. Ulf is going to ask you those questions.
All right.
All right, Mike, you ready?
Yes, Ulf, I am.
Okay. The first question, who's your favorite person to follow in the crypto space?
Favorite person to follow? It would be between G Money and Punk 6529.
All right.
Great answers. I think both of those have been named before, but not often. Maybe once before for each of those. So good answer.
Okay. Second question. What will the price of Bitcoin be 10 years from now? We're going a decade out.
10 years from now, I mean, we have to calculate in the massive inflation we have now. 10 years from now, I think we could be around $150,000 to $200,000.
I appreciate the thought you put into that answer. So a lot of people just rail off a number off the top of their head. I appreciate that you did some math in your head there.
Yeah.
All right. The third question, what's the most underrated project in the crypto space?
In the crypto or in the NFT space?
So that's up to you. I mean, it's all part of crypto.
It can be NFTs.
I mean, for crypto, I think right now ETH is still very underrated. And for NFTs, right now, I'd still say friendship bracelets.
I love it. Fantastic answers, Mike. This has been an awesome episode. Thank you so much for joining Alf and I on this episode of Show Me the Crypto. And we can't wait for 10 Apes beer to come to Canada.
Oh yeah, I'm pumped.
Cool. I'll send you a case. Thank you, Wade. Thank you, Alf. It was great being with you guys.
Thank you for listening to Show Me the Crypto. Please make sure to subscribe as well as rate and review this podcast.